Assalamualaikum. May I know if the MC is around? Is the MC here already?
Yes.
Brother
Yeah.
Ahmad. Brother
Yes.
Ahmad. Brother Ahmad, don't forget to invite the dean to offer welcoming speech. Yeah?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Ladies and gentlemen, inshallah, we are going to begin our session. Before beginning the session, I would like to inform you some of the notes which should be followed throughout the session. First of all, I would like to remind those who have on the camera to dress appropriately, and you are also allowed to turn off your camera. However, please do not forget to turn it on at the end of session for the photography session. The second point, please prepare your questions, and you may raise the hands to ask your questions at the end of the session, or you may leave your doubts in the chat box. Inshallah, all the doubts will be cleared by our speaker at the end of session. These are the points to be remembered by the participants. We are going to begin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah alladhi lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Assalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. Respected Dean, Professor Dr. Shukran Abdul Rahman, Dean of our Kulliyah, and the speaker of the day, Dr. Tangu Aisha Tangu Zaman, Department of Communication, and the Deputy Deans, Deputy Directors, Head of Department, Head of Research, all professors, associate professors, doctors, academic members, and last but not least, our young graduates and students. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with this golden opportunity in the morning of this Friday to participate in this event, Hadisus Sobah, organized by the Kulliyah of Islamic Revealed Knowledge and Human Sciences. And my name is Ahmad Riwad from India. I am the Vice Chairman of Media and Public Relation of our student society. It is a part of Revealed Knowledge and Human Science. And on behalf of the Kulliyah, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. All right. Before we go further, let's begin our program for the day with the recitation of Ummul Kitab Al-Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Inshallah, firstly, I would like to invite our beloved Dean, Professor Dr. Shukran Abdul Rahman, to give the welcome speech and keynote for the day.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amin. Amma ba'd. Thank you, Brother Ahmad. All Deputy Deans, Senior Deputy Director, the resource person for today's Hadisus Sobah, Yang Mulia Dr. Tengku Aisyah Tengku Azman. All right, and all participants, brothers and sisters, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and a very pleasant morning to all of you. Thank you for gathering here again, although in virtual manner. So we are very pleased and delighted to see all of you gathering here to listen to a speaker who will be talking about a topic which is very important, especially now when our focus is on various or diverse types of scholarship. I think when we talk about scholarship, we always associate it with academia. And as academic members or as future academic members, so we cannot distance ourselves from scholarship. And the scholarship that we are scoping or championing is not only the scholarship of our subject matter, like communication scholarship only, but there are 4 other types of scholarship that we are now nurturing and reinforcing, right? The first one is scholarship of discovery, which everybody is doing, right? I think Dr. Tengku Aisyah's scholarship or main scholarship is communication. But today we are listening to her other scholarship, that is her contribution to the scholarship of teaching and learning. When we say scholarship, we are referring to the work that she does and the publication that she produces in whatever means to share, to disseminate the way to best teach communication. And I think this is what we want to learn from her this morning. And Dr. Tengku Aisyah is not only an academic member, she is also the quality assurance liaison officer. She makes sure that our curriculum up to date, our curriculum are rightly tied to the ethos of the university, so on and so forth. So we are also nurturing and reinforcing scholarship of application, scholarship of integration, Islamization, and relevantization. The other one is scholarship of community engagement. And today we are listening to Dr. Tengku Aisyah on the scholarship of teaching and learning. So thank you very much, Dr. Tengku Aisyah, for your readiness and your commitment to share with us what you have been working on. And we trust that other people will benefit and enjoy the session. Thank you very much. Over back to you, Mr. MC. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Without wasting time, I invite Dr. Tengku Aisyah Tengku Azman, Department of Communication, for the keynote. Before I hand over the session to Doctor, let me inform that the speaker will be delivering her speech for 30 minutes, and we will open this session of Q&A for 15 minutes. So in that 15 minutes, you are welcome to share your questions in chat box. Hope all participants have noted this point. Inshallah, now I would like to welcome Dr. Tengku Aisyah Tengku Azman, Department of Communication, for delivering the valuable words from your part. Please welcome, Madam.
Thank you very much, Brother Ahmad, for that welcoming speech, and the Dean for his also welcoming other members of the session today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning, everyone. Before I start, I would like to thank the Dean, Professor Shukra Abdul Rahman, and also the Kuliah Management for giving me the opportunity to speak today on the scholarship of teaching and learning, the role of curriculum developers. I must admit this topic is quite heavy for me, considering I'm still a new academic and I just recently got involved with the curriculum development process. But I will try to do justice to the topic to the best of my ability. So just give me a minute while I share my slides and begin my presentation. Okay, so just some background information. I just recently got involved with the curriculum development, as I mentioned earlier. So some of the things that I'm talking about today is based on my experience with my department, which is the communication department experience, and also the experience with AHAS KRKHS in our recent effort in revising our undergraduate development program. And also some of my experiences based on my observations from other kuliah as well. So the importance of teaching and learning has been emphasized very much in the national policies. So in the National Higher Education Plan, the fourth pillar of teaching and learning introduces holistic programs confident that produces confident students who are balanced and discerning. Numerous type of experiences to also enrich their perspective. The academic staff is expected to lead in their respective fields and focus on innovative modes of curriculum delivery. Institutions must develop a dynamic and relevant pedagogy and curriculum. Academics are also expected to participate in enrichment programs while demonstrating professionalism and competence in their teaching ability. Multilingualism in curricula and the use of English in teaching and learning continues to be encouraged. And the MQA framework was set as a benchmark for the facilitation of quality control in higher education. And this is also emphasized again in the Malaysian context on higher education teaching and learning. In the Malaysian Higher Education Framework 4.0, the government talks about getting a future-ready curriculum and redesigning higher education initiatives, producing a fluid and organic curriculum, producing a transformative learning and teaching delivery, and also introducing alternative assessments. So it is without doubt that the paramount importance that HEI must continue to improve their teaching and learning delivery system to produce quality graduates who are ready for the workplace in line with the Malaysian Higher Education Framework. So with this in mind, I would like to continue by emphasizing that as teachers, educators, academics, we are also curriculum developers, and we should play a role in each stage of the curriculum development, including planning, design, development, implementation of teaching and learning, and also evaluation. So what is a good curriculum in designing and planning? So we should create and reflect a curriculum that has our culture and identity. For example, in our curriculum, recent curriculum review, we talk about how it should be reflective of SAF and also the IIM vision and mission. So our curriculum should also keep up with the changing world, not only reflect how things are going, but where it's heading. So in our recent review of the communication program, for example, we talk about how we must suit the needs of the industry in order to reflect the latest curriculum. So as curriculum developers, we are also responsible in keeping in touch with changing trends, technology, and also skills needed for the future. So in an area where it's very important to keep up with the industry, we are also teaching our students the latest skills, trends and technology that they need in order to be ready for the workplace. And curriculum should also be consistent. So in this sense, when we talk about things in the classroom, it should also be supported by outside classroom activities such as student activities and things like that. And of course, in terms of creating a good curriculum, we should also think about collaboration, how curriculum developers should work with other stakeholders such as parents, administrators, and the community in designing teaching and learning activities. And finally, of course, a good curriculum is something that provides measurable targets, such as what we outline in our course outline, POs and our PLOs. So what is the role of curriculum developers in teaching and learning? So first, we need to think about the planning activity. So curriculum planning can be viewed as a process of gathering, selecting, balancing, and synthesizing relevant information from many sources to design those experiences that will assist the learner to attain the goals of education. So it's also thinking in conception stage of the curriculum development process. So as curriculum developers, we are responsible for creating suitable content for teaching and learning. So we should ask these questions: what should be taught? How should it be taught? To what segment of the population, and what is the relationship between different components of the curriculum? So as coming from the communication department, we are also cognizant of the fact of how student activities and also projects and assignments can also be used to support what is taught in class, for example. And in terms of planning and development, we are also conscious of all processes and activities related to curriculum development. So this should be a continuous process of renewal and planning of curriculum. So implementation is putting into effect what has been planned. And the range of planning and implementation processes that are involved in developing or renewing a curriculum. And curriculum developers should be involved in identifying the suitability of assessments for the program, setting goals and objectives for the program, determining how course content are organized to one another, and also selecting and preparing teaching materials. And in terms of other planning stages, academic staff, lecturers, teachers, and also leaders in the classroom in HEI should be the one who contribute the most to curriculum development, teaching and learning, because they are the subject matter expert. They have knowledge of the course content and it's also and its materials. These people are also aware of the knowledge of students and their needs. So as academics, as murabbi, as teachers, we know what our students need and how we should fulfill that need. So having a curriculum that includes input from teachers can greatly support the achievement of the aims, goals, and learning objectives of all students. So as a department, we sit down to design the aims, goals, and learning objectives because we are aware of our student needs, how to fulfill it, and how to work to achieve the objectives. And we can also conduct need assessment in planning our curriculum. So need assessment is the process of defining the outcomes, products, or results of a given sequence of teaching and learning process. So need assessment is also defining the outcomes of the education and can help develop a criteria so curricula can be developed and compared. The combination of people and their needs and time is needed to produce and develop the curriculum that can help produce the desired outcome. So it involves a lot of time and effort. So as a kuliah, we have sat down for nearly 2 years to design our program and to decide what matters and what needs are we going to fulfill. And of course, we managed to get input and feedback and opinion from stakeholders, such as the community, parents, alumni, and also industry professionals. We use external gaps. We use external data for determining gaps. For example, we use tracer study to identify the success of graduates of the program, or we use the teaching feedback survey to determine how teachers perform in the classroom and what are the areas that can be improved in terms of designing the curriculum. And in terms of developing the curriculum, so as teachers in the classrooms, we also must establish a clear philosophy and a set of overarching goals that guide the entire program and decisions that affect every aspect of the program. So for example, in determining in IRKHS, we talk about relevantisation and also Islamicization. So these things are things that we put into place while we design our program. Establishes sequences both within and between levels and assure a coherent and articulate progression from level of study to another level of study. So also when we design the course outlines, when we design the programs and we think about what to teach, we must also think about logical progression from year 1 to year 4. For example, in the undergraduate program. So we also outline a basic framework for what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and how to know if it has been achieved. And in doing so, we must allow for some sort of flexibility. So the university talks about the concept of FER, which is one of it is to encourage flexibility among academicians and encourages experimentation and innovation within an overall structure. So I believe that's why some of our for quite a while, our undergraduate program has emphasized an open elective system where students are encouraged to engage in coursework that will help them achieve whatever their target and interest is. And in terms of also planning, we have to promote interdisciplinary approaches and integration of curricula when appropriate. So we mentioned the integration of human sciences and also Islamic revealed knowledge in our kuliah. We have to suggest a method of assessing the achievement of the program's goals and objectives, provide a means for its ongoing revision and improvement. So continuously engaging in CQI process, continuous quality improvement, and provide direction for procurement of human, material, and physical resources to implement the program. So it's important for us to get financial support, facility support, and also human resources support in order to engage in effective and efficient teaching and learning process. And in terms of why we need to change, why we need to revise, and why we need to update. So as academicians, teachers, and also leaders of the classroom, we have to consider from time to time what we need to change and improve with regarding our teaching and learning process. So some of these reasons for changing and updating and revising can include dissatisfaction with older content and techniques, considering recent research, lack of materials, and maybe teachers also need retraining because they don't know how to use the material to enhance understanding, making greater use of technology to enhance learning. So as somebody from the communication field, this is something that's also very important to us in terms of incorporating the latest technology and also the latest communication applications in order to enhance learning. And finally, of course, relating the content of the program more closely to contemporary problems and issues. In doing so, we must also look for ways to increase the amount of interdisciplinary work in which students are engaged. So I believe the Kuliah has tried to encourage interdisciplinary assessment. So this is one way that we can use to increase amount of interdisciplinary work. Students may express a need for different and enriched curricular opportunities, and other stakeholders may have concerns about implementation. So we need to consult, for example, industry professionals in designing our programs and also our teaching and learning activities. So in terms of implementing the curriculum in the classroom, so as teachers, as curriculum developers, so these are some of the things that we can think about. First, we can create content and topics that are integrated across several disciplines to provide effective interdisciplinary models. Choose suitable instructional methods and assessment strategies. So in designing our assessments, we must also think about constructive alignment, which is making sure that the assessment align to the course learning outcomes and also the PO and PLO. So what modes, for example, are suitable for hybrid learning? So this is something that we need to think about. And I believe for all of us as academics, we are aware of how COVID-19 pandemic has forced us to change our instructional method as well, and forced us to be more comfortable with other types of modes of instruction. So we also need to identify how instruction prepares the students to meet instruction standards. So that's why we for example, in the communication department, we want academics to present their assessments and also demonstrate how it matches the learning outcome, and also how we prepare the course packet to ensure that it meets the instruction standards. And we must also choose supportive circular materials and technology. For example, in teaching radio or TV production or design, we have to think about what are we going to use as supportive curriculum materials and technology. And finally, of course, I mentioned this earlier, we have to constantly solicit feedback and improve for CQI purposes, such as using tracer study or the SFS. And in terms of other techniques in implementing the curriculum in the classroom, usage of new technology is very important. So effective teaching and learning needs an effective delivery system. Textbooks are no longer considered as an important element of knowledge acquisitions. So there are other means of gaining knowledge, and textbook is just one of the materials. So learning activities can be done through electronic media, but information and communication technology has become the main means of imparting knowledge and gathering information in higher education. So ICT has changed students' learning behavior, helping to move from content-centered curricula to competency-based curricula, and from teacher-centered to student-centered form of delivery. So I like this note where we have to also think about giving ownership to the students in their own learning process, where we as instructors, we are there to guide and teach, but at the same time, we want them to have their own self-discovery process. So having ICT will help them achieve some of their independence in terms of looking for knowledge and using knowledge to the best of their advantage. And the advancement in technology has also changed the delivery style of teaching and learning. So I mentioned earlier where I think most of us know that the pandemic has caused us to change our conventional method of imparting knowledge through face-to-face interaction. So that's not only the mode of delivery, even though it's still mainly used. And gaining momentum, you hear buzzwords like virtual classroom, e-learning, blended learning, and ODL. So all these things are gaining traction, and curriculum developers, so as teachers and also leaders of the classroom, we must be versatile and consider different modes of learning when designing the curriculum. Okay, In terms of assessment, so assessment is also something that I think the university has emphasized again and again in terms of ensuring the fairness and validity of assessments. So how do we help develop and identify items in assessment? So you may ask questions like, how will I know that my students know, and what are we able to do what is expected of them? So they should be able to do what is expected of them. Curriculum developers should focus their instructions and ensure that although it's difficult to achieve, but critical, the alignment of curriculum, instruction, and assessment. So I mentioned this earlier. So curriculum should be aligned to the PO, PLOs, learning outcomes, and also the instructions and the assessments that we use. Assessments should not only measure the students' progress, but also the effectiveness of the goals and objectives of the curriculum in meeting the students' needs. And the assessment should also include clear performance expectations and a rubric that clearly defines the expectation for students and lecturers alike. They also help to clarify exactly what the grade or corps objectives mean and provide common standard for evaluating how successfully they are achieved. And in terms of continuous evaluation, the process of curriculum delivery, so as curriculum developers, we should not just be satisfied when at the implementation stage. We should also continuously look for areas for improvement. And to do that, we must have continuous evaluation. So instead of assuming that a process ends with the publication of a curriculum developers should continue to monitor the teaching and learning processes and activities by overseeing the implementation, updating, and evaluation of the curriculum. So curriculum developers need time and opportunities to become familiar with the new curriculum, especially for junior staff, in order to implement the curriculum and procure new materials in their classroom. So this is where it's very important to involve academics in the teaching and learning process and designing of the curriculum, and also provide continuous professional development training and upskilling to implement the curriculum. So training the trainers. And in terms of evaluating how successful a program is, careful evaluation of the effectiveness and impact of the program, we can use external data such as surveys, focus discussion groups, and meetings. So for example, in order for us to assess the effectiveness of our internship program, we do solicit feedback from communication employers in terms of what can be improved and what how our graduates should perform, and what are some of the necessary skills and characteristics that they should have at the workplace. So curriculum developers should evaluate the effectiveness of the teaching and learning process in terms of procuring data on perceptions of program strength, weaknesses, uniqueness, need, preferences for textbook and other materials, and topics objectives that do not seem to be working effectively. So you may decide to adjust or reevaluate or improve your learning objectives in the future curriculum. Information should be gathered from the data that represents overall student performances that is linked with daily instruction. So academic staff should be responsible for specific discipline that could accomplish this by sharing samples of assessments, performing tasks, student work, lessons, and instructional practices related to the curriculum. So this is something that we also regularly do at the department, where we share our methods of assessment. And in terms of teaching and learning that involves multiple sections, we do encourage coordination and also synchronization. So we share assessments, we share performance tasks, also we share how to grade and things like that. And so in continuously developing our role as curriculum developers, we should become evaluators for assessments of the learning outcome. How is the learning outcome achieved, and how successful was it? So we also put our hats on in multiple areas such as planners, designers, managers, programmers, implementers, coordinators, decision makers, evaluators, and researchers. And also, of course, at IIUM, we emphasize on the role of the teacher as the murabbi, encouraging lifelong learning, and also humanizing the education process, where we expect to not only produce competent graduates, but graduates who possess the right moral characteristics and also personality. Okay, and also we play an active and important role in the process of curriculum development and deciding on the effectiveness of the teaching and also learning process. So these are some of my humble suggestions in terms of aligning the teaching and learning process as curriculum developers. So as teachers, as leaders of the classroom, we should have program ownership. meaning we should have power and freedom in the teaching and learning process to decide what should be taught in the classroom and how within the course of the curriculum they are implementing. However, curriculum content must be continuously kept up to date and keep in view of the current worldview and contemporary issues in society. As curriculum developers, we should also be heavily involved in all phases of the curriculum development in order to ensure the effectiveness of the teaching and learning process. So as leaders of the classroom, curriculum developers are educators or murabbis that need to be supported by administrators also when implementing enriching materials to the curriculum. By creating a relationship with administration based on effective communication, collaboration and support, this will make the process of curriculum development more successful in the classroom. So I think that about wraps up my topic. Thank you very much for the listening to my talk today. And now I pass over the session to the MC of the session, Brother Ahmad. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your valuable words and for your time, what you have spent with us to convey the valuable keywords with us. Now, it is a session Q&A session, and I inform you all that it is about only 15 minutes. So now either you can unmute and ask questions or raise your doubts in the chat box. Any doubts from any participants? Hope all are clear with the presentation. Okay, since there is no doubts, now I kindly inform all of you to on the camera, inshallah, to grasp these memories forever. We should have a screenshots with the participant, speaker, and other delegates for the day. So please on the camera, every participant, so we can take screenshot. Alhamdulillah. By this, inshallah, we came to end of this session. And I also take this opportunity to apologize for my shortcoming in hosting this session. And I wish the organizers, the participants, all the best, and may God bless us all, and may Allah receive our effort in this journey of knowledge. So we are going to end this session. Before we end, I will recite Surah Al-Asr. By that recitation, inshallah, we can end this session. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wal Asr. Innal insana lafi khusr. Illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihati wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Inshallah, we are ending this session. Wa akhir da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.